Have you ever realized that something as small as a handbag can completely transform your appearance? No matter how elegant your outfit is, how perfect your hairstyle, or how flawless your makeup, if you're carrying the wrong handbag, all of it can fall flat. Today, we're going to explore 12 types of handbags that women over 50 should avoid at all costs. And don't worry, this doesn't mean you need to spend a fortune on designer bags. It's all about recognizing the little details that make a big impact on your style. Elegance is not about logos or flashy designs, it's about the subtle, intentional choices you make. Let's look at the handbags that might detract from your elegance, and what you should choose instead to elevate your beauty and confidence. In this video, you'll not only discover common handbag mistakes, but also get tips on how to choose the perfect bag to maintain a chic, sophisticated look with minimal effort. Mistake #1: carrying fake designer handbags. Carrying a fake designer handbag doesn't just undermine your elegance, it sends the wrong message about who you are. Many women, especially those just beginning to explore fashion, often buy fake designer bags to appear stylish without spending a lot of money. But what they don't realize is that carrying a fake handbag not only detracts from your sophistication, but also reflects a lack of authenticity. When you choose to carry a fake handbag, no matter how similar it looks to the real thing, you're essentially pretending to be something you're not. Elegance comes from authenticity, being true to yourself and your choices. A truly stylish handbag should reflect quality and good taste, not a logo. You don't need a brand name to stand out. You need a piece that complements your style and personality. Think about it: when you wear a handbag that's authentic and well-crafted. Without the flashy brand name, you let your elegance speak for itself. No one will judge you based on the label. Instead, they'll see the care you put into choosing something that suits your taste. Elegance doesn't scream, it whispers through thoughtful, intentional choices. When you wear a simple, well-made bag, you show that you know quality and don't need a label to define your style. Authenticity is the key to true elegance. You don't need to spend a fortune on designer bags. Choose high-quality, timeless pieces that don't rely on logos to define their value. When you carry a bag that reflects who you truly are, it exudes a quiet confidence that a fake never will. Have you ever found yourself tempted by a fake designer handbag? How did it make you feel? What do you think about investing in simple, quality handbags without the need for a big logo or brand name? Now that we've discussed the importance of choosing authentic pieces, let's move on to another common mistake women make when selecting handbags: oversized logos. Does a big logo really make you more stylish, or does it detract from your overall look? Let's dive into that next. Mistake #2: carrying handbags with oversized logos. Handbags with large logos or bold brand symbols often make us into walking advertisements, rather than allowing us to express our own personal style. When you carry a bag with a huge logo, it overshadows your individuality, drawing more attention to the brand than to you and your outfit. Instead of highlighting your elegance and sophistication, the bag becomes the focal point, reducing your confidence and overall style. A simple, logo-free bag or one with a discreet brand detail will enhance your natural beauty and sophistication without demanding attention. True elegance doesn't come from flaunting logos, but from making thoughtful and refined choices. When you opt for a handbag with minimal or no branding, you are choosing to let your style and confidence speak for themselves. You don't need validation from a logo to look and feel your best. Elegance is about simplicity and subtlety in every choice you make. A high-quality, understated handbag without a large logo will say everything about your style. You don't need a flashy brand name to showcase your taste. A well-crafted bag made of premium material will speak volumes. Have you ever chosen a handbag with a large logo to make a statement? How did it feel when others noticed the logo more than your outfit? What are your thoughts on choosing handbags that are simpler and more refined, without the big brand logo? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've explored the importance of choosing understated, elegant handbags, let's dive into another common mistake: choosing bags that are either too large or too small. Can the size of your handbag affect the overall look of your outfit? Let's take a closer look. Mistake #3: carrying handbags that are too big or too small. The size of your handbag plays a crucial role in maintaining balance and proportion in your outfit, especially for those with a petite frame. An oversized bag can overwhelm your body, making you appear smaller and throwing off the overall harmony of your look. On the other hand, a bag that's too small is impractical and doesn't offer enough space for your essentials, making it hard to function without sacrificing style. The key is to choose a handbag with the right size, one that complements your body and enhances your overall look. An oversized handbag can be distracting and take away from the elegance of your outfit, particularly for women with smaller frames. Large bags can make you appear lost in your accessories, which detracts from your natural poise. Meanwhile, a tiny bag often isn't functional enough for everyday use, leaving you scrambling to carry what you need in a very limited space. Finding the right balance in size is essential to ensure your bag supports, rather than dominates, your overall look. Opt for a medium-sized, structured bag that fits your body and works with your wardrobe. The right handbag should be both practical and stylish, offering enough space for your essentials without overpowering your appearance. Have you ever found your handbag to be either too big or too small for your needs? How did it affect your overall look? What are your thoughts on choosing a handbag that's just the right size to complement your style and body type? Now that we've covered the importance of choosing the right size handbag, let's move on to another common mistake: carrying bags that are worn out or damaged. Does a damaged bag diminish your style? Let's dive into that next. Mistake #4: carrying damaged or worn out handbags. A damaged, worn out, or wrinkled handbag can diminish your overall appearance, no matter how new or elegant your outfit is. When your handbag is in poor condition, it reflects a lack of attention and care, which impacts the way you present yourself. A well-maintained handbag elevates your entire look and shows that you value the finer details. On the other hand, a shabby handbag can drag down your style, making you appear less polished, even if your clothes are perfectly put together. Taking care of your handbags is not just about preserving an item you love, it's a reflection of self-respect. A worn-out handbag will no longer complement your sophisticated image. If you neglect to replace or repair damaged handbags, they can negatively affect your overall style and detract from the impression you wish to create. Maintaining and replacing handbags, when necessary, shows that you respect yourself and your personal style. A new, high-quality bag can instantly boost your confidence, adding a polished touch to any outfit. It's not just about replacing an item, it's about enhancing your style and aligning your accessories with the elegance you want to project. Have you ever felt that carrying an old, worn-out handbag affected your confidence? How did you handle it? What do you think about replacing handbags that are no longer in good condition to maintain a polished and elegant look? Now that we understand the importance of taking care of our handbags, let's move on to another common mistake many women make when choosing handbags: opting for overly flashy or decorative bags. Does excessive embellishment really make you look more elegant? Let's dive into that next. Mistake #5: carrying bags that are overly decorative or flashy. Bags that are overloaded with patterns, embellishments, or excessive decorations can undermine your elegance and draw attention away from your overall style. True sophistication is rooted in simplicity and subtlety. When a bag is adorned with too many details, it can distract from your entire look, making the bag the focal point instead of complementing your outfit. A handbag should never overshadow your style. It should enhance it. Excessively decorated bags, whether with beads, sequins, or bold patterns, may seem fun, but they often take away from your polished appearance. They can make you appear less refined and less put together. The goal should be to let your outfit shine as a whole, not to let a loud handbag steal the show. True elegance comes from making thoughtful, understated choices, and that includes your accessories. Choose bags that are simple yet sophisticated. Your handbag doesn't need to draw excessive attention. It should just quietly complement your beauty and overall look. Elegance comes from choosing items that are refined, not flashy. Opt for bags with clean lines and subtle details that reflect timeless style. Have you ever felt that a flashy, overly decorated handbag distracted from your outfit or overall style? How did you handle it? What are your thoughts on opting for simpler, more refined handbags rather than those with bold patterns and embellishments? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've discussed choosing bags with subtle elegance, let's explore another common mistake many women make when choosing handbags: selecting ones that are either too large or too small. Can the size of your bag affect the balance of your outfit? Let's dive into that next. Mistake #6, carrying the wrong bag for the occasion. Choosing a handbag that doesn't fit the occasion is a common mistake that can seriously detract from your overall look. While backpacks or casual fabric totes are great for daily use or casual outings, they aren't the right choice for more formal events. Each occasion has its own style requirements, and a mismatched handbag can make you look less polished or out of place. Your handbag isn't just a functional item. It's a statement about your attention to detail and your awareness of the setting you're in. A bag that's too casual for an elegant event, like a flashy backpack or a casual fabric tote, can take attention away from your outfit and make you appear less sophisticated. For formal events, choose a bag that complements your outfit and matches the tone of the event. Always choose a handbag that suits the occasion and setting. For formal events, opt for a sleek, structured bag, like a clutch or a refined, small handbag. These types of bags enhance your look and help you present a polished, elegant appearance. Consider the venue and the atmosphere when selecting your bag. It should be a seamless part of your overall look. Have you ever realized that your handbag didn't match the event you were attending? How did it make you feel? What are your thoughts on picking the right handbag for different occasions? Have you had any experiences you'd like to share? Now that we've explored the importance of matching your handbag to the occasion, let's dive into another common mistake: choosing a handbag made from the wrong material for your outfit. Can the material of your bag impact your overall look? Let's find out next. Mistake #7, carrying handbags made from shiny plastic materials. Handbags made from shiny plastic materials, although they may catch the eye in some situations, are not ideal for a sophisticated style. These types of bags often give off a cheap vibe and can detract from the elegance of your entire outfit. While plastic bags may seem trendy and modern, they don't blend well with refined clothing and can easily ruin the overall look, particularly at formal events or occasions that require a more polished appearance. A plastic bag can make you appear less serious or out of place. Although shiny plastic materials may seem stylish at first, they lack durability and can quickly lose their sheen, giving the impression of poor quality. Bags made from these materials often lose their shape and look worn after only a short time, which diminishes the value of the accessories and reduces your confidence in wearing them. When choosing a handbag, opt for materials that are soft, durable, and natural, like genuine leather or high-quality vegan alternatives. These bags not only last longer but also add an air of elegance and sophistication to any outfit. Natural materials help elevate your style and provide longevity, ensuring that your bag stays in great condition while complementing your overall look. Have you ever felt that a shiny plastic handbag diminished the elegance of your outfit? How did it make you feel when you realized it didn't match your style? What are your thoughts on choosing handbags made from natural, durable materials to enhance your sophisticated look? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've discussed the importance of choosing the right materials for your handbag, let's move on to another common mistake: selecting handbags that are either too large or too small for your body and outfit. Does the size of your bag really affect the balance of your overall look? Let's find out next. Mistake #8, carrying neon or overly bright handbags. Bright colors like neon handbags can draw too much attention and detract from the overall sophistication of your outfit. While bold colors might seem fun and trendy, carrying a neon bag can easily disrupt the balance of your look. When the bag becomes the focal point of your ensemble, it shifts attention away from your overall style and elegance, making the outfit feel less polished. Neon handbags are often difficult to pair with various outfits, especially when you're aiming for a more refined and elegant appearance. These bright colors tend to make you the center of attention, but that doesn't always work, particularly in formal or professional settings. Overly vibrant handbags can make you appear less polished and can even undermine the sophisticated vibe you may want to convey. When choosing a handbag, opt for neutral colors or elegant tones like black, camel, or deep blues. These colors not only pair easily with a variety of outfits, but also help you stand out in a subtle, sophisticated way. A handbag in a refined color will elevate your look without overwhelming it or drawing unnecessary attention. Have you ever bought a neon handbag and struggled to coordinate it with your outfits? How did you feel when you realized it didn't blend well with your wardrobe? What are your thoughts on choosing handbags in more neutral, elegant shades instead of overly bright ones? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've discussed the importance of choosing the right handbag color, let's explore another common mistake: selecting handbags that are either too large or too small. Can the size of your handbag impact the balance of your overall look? Let's dive into that next. Mistake #9: carrying handbags without structure. Handbags that are too soft and lack structure can significantly detract from your overall elegance and sophistication. A bag without structure doesn't create the sharp, polished look needed to complete an outfit. These bags tend to lose their shape when set down, giving off a vibe of being poorly cared for and making you appear less put together. On the other hand, a structured handbag helps maintain a neat, tailored appearance, adding a sense of refinement and luxury to your look. Opting for a structured handbag is key to achieving a more polished and organized style. A bag with clear structure not only holds its shape, but also enhances the overall elegance of your outfit. Choosing a structured bag allows you to project confidence, maintaining both your poise and your fashion-forward image. When selecting a handbag, always prioritize one with clear structure. These bags help maintain a neat, sophisticated appearance, making you look more confident and polished. A structured bag will elevate your overall style and help you create the kind of refined look that exudes professionalism and grace. Have you ever felt that a soft, unstructured handbag made your style appear less elegant? How did you handle that? What are your thoughts on choosing handbags with clear structure for a more polished and sophisticated look? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've covered the importance of structure in handbags, let's move on to another common mistake: choosing handbags that are overly decorative or flashy. Can excess embellishment actually detract from your elegance? Let's dive into that next. Mistake #10: carrying seasonal handbags. Seasonal or themed handbags may seem fun and fitting for special occasions, but they can quickly become outdated and are not suitable for all events. These types of bags are often only appropriate for a short period each year, making it hard to get full use out of them or pair them with a variety of outfits. For example, Christmas-themed or Halloween-themed bags are perfect for the holiday season, but are not appropriate for formal events or any time outside of that specific time of year. Seasonal handbags can limit your ability to mix and match accessories, making your style feel less versatile. Bags with images or patterns that are tied to a specific holiday or season can make you look out of place when worn outside that context. Choosing a handbag that works year-round for any event ensures that your style remains timeless and appropriate no matter the season. Opt for handbags that are suitable for any season, an event to keep your style looking polished and timeless. A simple, neutral-colored handbag with an elegant design can easily complement a variety of outfits and occasions, allowing you to wear it throughout the year without worry. Have you ever bought a seasonal handbag that you realized didn't fit with your wardrobe outside of the holiday season? How did you handle it? What do you think about choosing handbags that are simple and versatile enough to work for any season and event? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we understand the importance of selecting the right handbag for every season and occasion, let's explore another common mistake: choosing handbags with too many patterns and embellishments. Does excessive decoration really help you stand out? Let's dive into that next. So we've covered the 12 types of handbags that women over 50 should avoid. These accessories, though small, can have a significant effect on your overall style and image. Pay attention to the detail, because true elegance comes from thoughtful, authentic choices. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever made any mistakes with your handbag selection? What type of handbag would you choose to elevate your style? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit from these tips. Remember, your style is a reflection of your confidence and grace.